people weren't able to get on tonight. So, but we're really excited that you offered this. I'm excited, especially you're like one of my favorites. So Ellen is a Diamond Senior Gold, if you can even imagine that. It's pretty awesome. She's going to tell us a little bit about herself, and then I've got some questions that we're going to ask her and see if maybe we can stump her a little bit.
Ooh. All right. Well, if you want to mute everybody, that way if somebody's multitasking or there's a noise in the background, I get distracted easily. So, but anyway, my name is Ellen Ford, and I'm a Diamond Senior Gold Ambassador with Plexus. And I first started with Plexus, or joined, December 31st of 2013. So I am actually coming up on my 3rd year anniversary with Plexus in a little over a month. So I'll tell you a little bit of background on me before I started Plexus. And I have worked 17 years as a paralegal in law firms and the corporate environment, as well as I'm married, been married 15 years to my husband. He is on staff at our church. He is over the Young Marrieds Ministry. And then we have now, they just turned 10, our twins, Jake and Emma, who are involved in all the kids' stuff, sports and things at church. So before Plexus, I was already busy. And, you know, as the new year approached, you know, when New Year's Eve is kind of when everyone starts their, you know, okay, we're going to get back on track with our diet and our eating. We're going to get back on track with our finances. We're going to do a budget. You know, we do that every year. Most people do. And so my husband and I were kind of talking about that. And early in December, I had seen my friend Andrea Mitchell all of a sudden started posting about this crazy Plexus stuff. And at first I thought she was hacked. And then the more I saw her post, the more annoying it became, because I'm like, I just remember her posting. I'm like, what on earth? This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. She's starting to post all this diet stuff. And, you know, she posted, I don't know how many times before I reached out, but maybe like 8. I think we decided that I probably saw her 8th post on Facebook. And, you know, New Year's Eve, my husband was out duck hunting. And so I was on Facebook just seeing what everybody was up to, and I had seen one of her posts. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to reach out to her and ask her what this stuff is. Because, you know, my husband was wanting to lose some weight. And I thought, well, you know, I'll try it. So I just messaged her as a result of seeing one of her posts and said, girl, what is this pink stuff that you keep posting about? And she told me, and y'all, I don't even remember what she said. All I remember is she's my friend. I trust her. And if she says it works, I'm like, sure, I'll try it. It, you know, sound like this magical pink stuff. You drink it, you lose weight. Cool. So I told her, I was like, well, how much is it? Obviously. And she said, well, cheapest way you can buy it is to join and order a welcome pack. And I'm like, absolutely not doing that. I'm not interested in selling anything. I'm like, I do not, because there's such a negative stigma with network marketing that we, you know, assume the worst, because we've only seen the worst in other companies. Never done network marketing. I've never sold a thing. And so I said, no, girl, I will never sell anything. I just want the products. We want to try them. We don't want something hitting our bank account every month. And she's like, well, you don't have to do anything but get the discount. And I thought, okay, well, I like options. So I said, all right, well, I'll do that. And so off we go, ordered my welcome pack, and the products came in. My husband was not excited one bit about, number one, me joining a network marketing company. But number two, you know, we were on a very, very tight budget, and we lived comfortably, but, you know, I had to work in order for us to do anything. And, you know, my husband's called to ministry, so that's not like a 9-to-5 job. And, you know, it's not like you're going to get some just dramatic, huge raise being in ministry. That's not how it works. So he wasn't excited about the products at all. And he definitely wasn't excited about me spending money to, you know, that we didn't talk about first on these products. And he's like, what's a magic potion? So anyway, I was like, well, let's just try it. If it doesn't work, we don't have to do anything. So we tried the products. We started with Triplex. Within 3 days, I was completely off of Dr. Pepper. Y'all, I drink like 3 a day plus 2 or 3 cups of coffee. I had an issue. So that, and then at 3 o'clock every day at my job, I would hit the wall of exhaustion. And I'd prop myself up with candy or sugar or more Dr. Pepper just to get to 5 o'clock so I could leave and then go have the energy to take my kids where they need to go for practices. And I thought there's something up. Like after 3 days, I didn't crave my Dr. Pepper, and I thought, that's weird. And so I even went and got one, tried to drink it, and it sat on my desk. And my husband started noticing he wasn't eating as much. And for me, the first thing I noticed was the sugar cravings were gone. The second thing was probably the energy, because we did not just like veg out on the couch after we get the kids down. We didn't just like crash. And then the third thing I noticed was sleeping. I had not really slept well through the night since I had kids. And I don't know if that's just something that comes with it, but you know, you get up at 4 a.m. to go to the bathroom and you cannot go back to sleep. And then by the time the alarm hits, you know, you're just like, oh no, please don't. So we noticed those 3 things right away. And then my husband hopped on the scale and he lost weight. So he's actually really responsible for my Plexus stardom, because he's the one that said, you should post something about me being your Plexus guinea pig on Facebook. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to be that person. I was like, that is not me. I'm not selling anything on Facebook. I'm like, I like Facebook but he used to tell me, girl, if you could get paid to do Facebook, we would be rich because you're on it all the time. And I was always like, that is so rude. No, it's not, you know. And so one morning before work, I decided, okay, I found this cute picture of a guinea pig, and I put my little first post up and talked about my husband being my guinea pig. And I said something about he's lost some weight. We'll see what happens. And launched that post and then drove to work. Y'all, by the time I got to work, hold on, I got a kid in here. Yeah.
In the junk box. Can I keep this?
Yes.
You gave this to me, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
It was in the junk box.
Oh, okay. Sorry, y'all. So anyway, I launched that post, went to work. By the time I got to work, my inbox had blown up with my friends. People wanted to know what we ordered, what we were doing, what my website was, what products. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was totally, you know, I posted on Facebook with no expectations. So when people wanted to know more, I'm like, I have no idea what you need to order. I don't know what the stuff does. I don't know my website. But, you know, my husband being like a Dave Ramsey, you know, budget conscious, you know, all the stuff, he was like, you know, make up the money you put in. And so when people wanted to order from me, I was all about it. I was like, you know what, I will find my website, I will figure out what you need to order, and we'll get you started. So that's how I started Plexus. It really was almost on accident, really, and not on purpose. No, I had no expectations. It wasn't trying to work the business from the beginning. I just love social media, and I put something out there. And then, you know, the more I posted on Facebook, the more I just message my friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, I love these products. You have got to come try these with me. That is how I did it. And the more I posted, the more I reached out, the more people ordered, the more people joined my team. And my very first month, I went silver and made $400. The next month I went gold. I mean, it was very, very quickly, and made $800. Then I went, I guess, what's after that? Senior gold, made $1,500. I mean, it steamrolled. And I figured out real quick after that first month's check, I thought, oh my word, I might have something here. Because, most network marketing companies, you make like 37 cents for the month or something. And there's not like real money. And all my concern was I needed to make enough to cover the $133 that I put into it when I joined. And so when I got that check for $400, I'm like, okay, I covered it. Plus I made some. And my husband was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, we'll just see if that continues. And then the next month when it doubled, he was kind of like, ooh, there's like money coming in. I like this. And I found out real quickly that, my true desire, dream down deep in my heart that I never really shared, even with my husband, was I want to quit and stay home with my twins. I desire to do that. I feel like that's what I was called to do, to be there with them and be able to, be more hands-on than I was working full-time outside the home. So it was kind of like that little check for $400, which isn't little, but that was kind of like God saying, I got some big plans for you. So just keep going through these doors that I'm opening. And my, why, so to speak, whenever I started was I wanted the cheapest. I don't want to have to do anything. I don't want anything hitting my bank account. I just want the products. Then after that very first check, I was like, okay, I want to stay home, whatever I need to do. I'm doing this business. I'm going to the top. And I, working full time, balancing twins, balancing, home, my husband working, it was a lot, but I looked at how much I'm on Facebook anyway, how much I talk to people during the day. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to just ask people to join my team and I'm going to fit it in anywhere I can throughout the day. And I ranked up pretty regularly and went Emerald in 11 months while working full time. And the day I went Emerald, that is the day that my husband, I was kind of like, I really want to quit. And, the money was definitely coming in. And, within 5 months of working Plexus, I was making more than what I was making at my corporate job. And so I was already ready to quit. But, my husband's like, okay, let's get everything paid off. And, that was a driving force for me too, is every single check that came in from Plexus, we knocked out a debt. And I knew if we just needed to attack debt, pay it off. And then in 11 months when I went Emerald, my husband's like, well, let's start making a plan for you quitting and staying home. So we made that plan, and I went Sapphire like 4 months later. And in May 29th of 2015, I retired from my corporate job and came home. And when the kids got out for summer, I was home with them to be able to do everything mom. And then in July 2015, I went diamond. And in September of 2015, I re-entered under myself. And I'm now senior gold on that second position. So all that to say, people get into Plexus for different reasons. And a lot of times, a very high percentage of the time, it is to only get the discount for products. And my passion is moms who are working outside the home and are trying to make the ends meet enough to where they can find freedom to be with their family more. I'm also very passionate about presenting the opportunity every single time I talk to someone, and not letting it be about me. And I'm not comfortable presenting that, so I'm not going to do that, because when we do that, we are making a decision and a choice for someone. I don't feel like reaching out. It makes me nervous. So I'm making the choice for you. You're going to be a customer, because I'm not comfortable telling you about the opportunity. If Andrea had not been comfortable telling me there was an option to join when I first reached out to her, I may not even have ever done anything with Plexus. Because if I was a customer and something happened where I took it and maybe I mean, you just never know what the path would have been if, because when I joined, Andrea immediately connected me to the pages and introduced me to her upline Roz. And I was immediately connected. If she had not talked to me about the business and I'd been a customer, I would have never been connected to any of those pages. I would have never met Roz. There were some relationships that developed as a result of her giving me that option. So, and working at full time, y'all, I didn't have the luxury of doing Plexus from 8 a.m. all the way till whatever. I had to go and be engaged at a job and answer to someone. So every single moment I had free, I would, we took a break, I would go sit in my sit in my car at lunchtime, and I would respond to messages. I would reach out to people. And, a lot of my friends were going out to lunch, but I wanted this business so bad because I wanted to stay home. And I'm like, every minute that I want to scroll Facebook, I'm not doing it. I'm going to reach out to my friends. I'm going to follow up with those people who said they were kind of interested, but they're not sure. And that is how I did it, y'all. I did it by going to the top and taking action in my business and continuing that momentum. So all that to say is, if you really, really want this business, if it's your plan B right now, and because a lot of people don't have a plan B, they have what they're currently doing and they have no other irons in the fire ready to go if anything happens, or, they don't have an emergency fund set aside. And if Plexus is your plan B right now and you want it to be your plan A, you got to work it and put it as a priority and work it like a plan A. But it can be done if you really want it in your heart. And wanting it sometimes is not enough. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes, because all the diamonds at the top, y'all, we've heard no, we've heard people be ugly, we've heard people reject us, we've had people unfriend us, and y'all, it's like water off a duck's back, because we're like, I want it so much, I don't care what anybody says, I'm going for it. So anyway, that's kind of like the long version, Ruby, of my story. But that's it. It's now I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on now. Now I am, able to pick up my kids at 3:00 every day when they get out of school. And like, for example, today we went to the library and we hung out with our little friends there. And then I took my son to football and my daughter to a cheer dinner. And it's just stuff like that before I was either calling moms to try to ask for rides because I couldn't get off work in time, or, they wouldn't have ever gotten to go hang out with their friends right after school because they would have had to go to daycare. So it's the things like that, looking at them. And when I was working Plexus and, it just kind of became something in the very beginning, I remember them saying, Mommy, can you just come pick us up? Because kids, they don't know you're working. Like, Mommy, can you just come pick us up at 3:00 with all the other mommies? Because, they get to go do all these things and we have to go to daycare, and I want you to pick us up. And guys, I'm telling you, when you hear that from your kids, it's like I would move mountains to be able to do that for them. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But Ruby, I'll kick it back over to you if you have some follow-up or questions or whatever.
Okay. I think your why is so important, because some of us on here, our kids are grown. And, we did what you're saying you did. We had to say sorry, and find rides, and where are they going to, get here from here. And we missed out on a lot. And I think that's a lot of our passion for our young moms, is that they can be able to stay home with their kids if they want to, because it really is something that you both miss out on. The kids miss out, the mom misses out. So I think that's what network marketing is so great for. I wish it was available, or wished it were available when I had young kids, but it is now. So now we can tell, those young moms. But you already answered a few of the questions, but I have a few more. So how did you promote the business when your checks weren't that big?
I think that's a great question because I readily talk about that subject with people on my team. And for me, I started promoting without knowing I was doing it right away, and I had no check. I didn't even have any idea what I was doing. But I had friends on my team that I literally, back then, I would say, hey, can I borrow that post? And I would copy it. And then they fed me information and I would share it. I also, any check I got, it could be for $50, whatever it was, I would figure out, okay, what can I pay for now that I wasn't able to? And because people say, well, I can't share the business because I'm not making big bucks. That is a myth. Whatever you're making, you are not making that before Plexus. So you are blessed in that way right now. Talk about what you are able to cover with your check. If you're able to cover the cost of your products, talk about how your products are free every month. I have a friend on my team that she's trying to rank up to Ruby. In there for a while, she was like, I just can't share about the business because I'm not making big bucks yet. And I said, how much you making? And she said, $1,000 a month. I think it was $1,500. And she's able to completely pay her mortgage. And I'm like, I'm going to come through the phone and choke you. Why are you not telling people you're able to pay your mortgage? That is the biggest household expense a lot of times for most people. Is their mortgage. That is a huge chunk out of our check. When we're working, that's what a lot of our money goes toward. I said, are you sharing with these struggling, like you said, these moms out there that are trying to figure this thing out, make the ends? Are you sharing that you're able to cover your mortgage? She goes, no. I'm like, why not? Who cares if you're not making $50,000 a month? That's what people need, okay? They need the mortgage covered. They need the car payment covered, their groceries covered. That's the magic zone right there. Tell people what you are able to cover. Don't worry about if you've only been in, and like, well, I've been in the business a long time and I'm still not. Okay, what are you able to do? I keep it current. And what are you able to pay for? What are you able to pay for now that you weren't before you started? Also share those diamond documentaries. If one comes out and it's a homeschooling mom, you better believe any homeschooling mom that I'm currently talking to that's a prospect, I'm private messaging them that diamond doc, and I'm gonna go, hey girl, I thought of you and I saw this. I had one girl who's from Louisiana and she's from New Orleans, has the accent, and Alyssa Snyder is a diamond now. She has a Louisiana accent. And I mean, that was a long stretch because I really wanted her on my team, and she was just not having it. But I sent her that diamond doc because, like, girl, I heard this girl's voice and I thought of you. Whatever it is, make that connection. But also, I think we don't share the business if we're not making big checks because we don't really believe in ourselves yet. And if you're at that point, you've got to build your belief, and that belief comes with the consistency of working the business daily, reaching out to people, following up with people, and watching or listening to some type of YouTube on, messaging, on discouragement, on building, on 531, some type of personal development to kind of build belief in your business. And then also watching those diamond documentaries, that really builds belief in yourself. That's what I hung my hat on when I was very, very early on in my business. I think I watched every single diamond doc out there because I was trying to find one that specifically spoke to me and my situation. Like if you're a homeschooling mom, that doesn't speak to me at all because I'm not in that last stage. I don't homeschool. I was looking specifically for one of a mom working in corporate America, wanting to be home with her kids and trying to make the ends meet. Jen Hawkins, carbon copy of what that was my last stage. That's what I wanted. And it spoke to me so much that it didn't matter if I was making $0 or $50,000. It did not matter because that helped build my belief that, okay, that I can identify with that. That girl is similar. She's working in a corporate environment. She's missing out on her kids' stuff. She wants to be home. That's me. So, I mean, that's, again, a long answer to what you're talking about, but it's kind of like, what are you able to do with the money that you're getting right now? And share that.
Yeah, that was good. How important do you feel getting everyone to silver is and the power of 3?
That is really vital. And I think that, you know, there's a big step that you make when you're an ambassador and you have people underneath you. You are the leader. And, you know, if you have, like I have people under me, and it really depends on, okay, if someone joins, they only want the products. They're not too concerned with the business at that time. I kind of find out where they are, and I want to respond back to them where they are. If I have someone that's like, hey, I think I want to tell a couple friends about this, I'm immediately going to start talking to them about the power of 3. It is, in my opinion, anybody can go silver. Anybody can find 3 people that love them enough to come try the products for wholesale, whatever it is. Everyone can find 3 people. And that's the first big rank. That's the first chunk. And that's real doable. You know, gold is a little bit more of a stretch because you got, that's what, 20 to 30 people. But silver is vital. If you can get 3 people on your team and then find out of those 3, if you have one that wants to do it, focus on that one person and go, okay, here's how you do it. And then train that way. You know, a lot of times we'll push power of 3 and somebody don't want it. They just don't want it. And we focus so much time and attention trying to get them to want to go silver or trying to get people added to their team. And we want it worse than they do. But the power of 3, if you think about it, that's residual. If you want to know what residual checks are, it's power of 3. And that way you're going to influence 3 people. They're going to influence 3 people, and it's going to trickle down. I mean, the perfect example is me. I mean, I probably have signed up 150 total level 1s, but I have 15,000 people on my team. That's some power of 3 right there. But I just want to encourage anybody, if they join, again, it's the same thing if they were looking at getting the products. I'm going to give the option to join. When they join, I'm going to give the option to go silver, or they're going to be my wholesale customer. I'm going to follow up with them to make sure. But I want everybody to do that, and it's vital to your business.
How do you go about doing that?
Which part?
The part where you said you're gonna give them the option to go silver.
Mm-hmm. Well, like last month, I'll take it as an example. I signed up a girl in my neighborhood. I signed up a girl that I went to college with, and then I don't remember the last one. I don't know, say whoever. The girl in my neighborhood had a very outgoing personality, loved social media, bubbly, fun. She wanted weight loss. She's like, I've got so many things going on. I don't have time for the business. My college friend is totally not even on in the same atmosphere for the business, just wants to have energy. And then I can't remember who that last person was. I don't think, because I had an example of it. I don't remember, but let's take those other 2. So my first friend, Carrie, I wanted to kind of just let her get her products. And then I reach out to her like, okay, girl, here's how you take it. And, you know, it was an easy sell last month because I'm like, girl, if you get 3 people, you're not only getting $100 for the company, you're getting $200. So it's double bonus month. If you're interested in doing that, I will help you. And I threw that out there, and she's like, yeah, I want to do that. Because, I mean, she's already kind of a little bit open to it. My college friend, I gave her the option. I said, hey, girl, if you're interested in the business side at all, please let me know. If you want to just be on the products for a while, I totally get that. But I don't want to inundate you with a ton of information if you're not ready for that. Because I think a lot of times we feel like when someone joins our team, we send them like a ton of information. Like, hey girl, here's Power of Three. Here's how you fast start gold. Here's how you do this. Here's how to get paid the first month or whatever. And it's too much. They're like, okay, I just ordered my products. I need to get my products in. I'm not ready for the team stuff. I'm not ready to post. I don't want to do that. So I find out where they are. And then if they're the least bit open to it, then I'm going to start working with them one-on-one and go, okay, let's get you started. Here are the important things that you need to do. Number one, yes, posting is important. But if someone is nervous about posting, they can private message all day and nobody's going to know except for that person. So it's like, okay, if you want to go silver, start making a list of somebody. So I work with them individually, kind of where they're at, because I don't want to try to force the business on someone after they've joined, because the products will speak for themselves. And when they start loving the products, that's when, because you check on someone that's like a wholesale buyer and you're like, hey girl, how the product's going? I love them. Like, okay, well, if you have any friends that might want to try it with you, let me know and I'll show you how to sign them up. See, there's no pressure there, because it's like, puts a seed in their head, and it's not like, okay, let's get you posting. Let's get, because they want to kind of ease into it. That's that personality. So I don't ever try to like force someone who's absolutely against it to do it.
That's good. How important do you feel three-way calls or Zooms for prospects are? And if you think they're important, how do you get them there?
Great question. The number one way to, I guess, talk to a prospect is in person. That's the most effective way, is in person. We don't all have the luxury of doing that if you have a big network that's not around you. So Zoom would be the next best thing, or three-way call. I was kind of not so sure on the three-way calls in the beginning, and then I had heard a lot of Diamonds doing them, and I did them before Diamond. That wasn't my main way of talking to prospects. So I will do three-way calls for my team. And if they have someone that's on the fence, especially if you have somebody on the fence, do a three-way call. And I mean, I'm 100% on all three-way calls that I've done for my team closing deals, because they may be like not as versed in like the business area, because we can all sell the products. We can all sell the products because we have cheat sheets. They've given the welcome pack, the product cards, we have documents. But the business side is kind of the X factor, so to speak, because sometimes we just can't articulate it in a way that someone else can receive it and go, yes, I want to do that. But you get an upline involved to kind of take that. They can hear from a third party and it can be articulated. It's a fantastic way to do it. As far as in Zoom, I think if you have people that aren't in your same state or whatever, it's so easy to get on a Zoom. And I would probably Zoom somebody one-on-one at first, just because it's a little bit less, if it's your friend, you're like, girl, let's do like a teleconference. We can kind of see each other, and it'll be kind of like we're in person, but not really, since you're several states away. And just maybe do a one-on-one and just find out what their questions are. And the more, I think, make it very informal, so it doesn't look like they're having to go do something and go way outside of their comfort zone. But just go, hey girl, let's chat. But you know what? Let's do a Zoom. It's face to face, and I can they can hear you and see what you're talking about and ask questions. And then if they're like, I don't know, I don't want to do this, that's when I would probably, do that three-way call or three-way Zoom. And as far as getting people there, on my coaching page, we went through a book, and it said when you have someone that you're trying to get to an opportunity meeting or a Zoom call, and let's say you reach out to Denise. I'm going to try to get Denise to come to this meeting. And, I try like, hey girl, we're having a product call or opportunity Zoom call. I'd love for you to be on. And Denise is like, yeah, when is it? And then you're like, okay, it's tomorrow at 8. And, oh, well, yeah, I'll be on it. And of course, something comes up, like the house burned down, or, I know y'all have heard it all because I sure have. So the house burns out. You're like, okay, Denise, how about next week? And so even if there's nothing planned, I want to get something back on the calendar, a hard date for Denise or whoever it is. That's just an example, so that I can kind of follow up. Because if you're like, okay, girl, I'll check in with you next week. Y'all know that when someone's like, hey, girl, let's do lunch. Okay. And that you don't put a date on the calendar, that lunch isn't happening. When you plan a Zoom and you're like, okay, girl, I'll check in with you next week. Well, next week turns into 2 months and it never happens. So I would put a hard date down. And then if that's how you close deals, when you go, we're having a Zoom, let me just give you a call next week. How does 5 p.m. sound on Thursday? Well, I'm working. All right, well, would 8 work? Because and try to pin them down a little bit. And if they bail and go MIA, move on to the next person. But I think that setting a hard date and then following up and reminding, because, sometimes after work, and it's harder to get people there in person, as you know, because if people work all day, the last thing we want to do is go to a meeting about anything. But just reschedule and have a hard date as far as getting them there.
That's good. Okay. How do you engage in Plexus conversation with someone you've just met?
That's a great question. Well, and I'll give you a couple examples of that. I think it is really hard, and I don't recommend meeting someone for the first time and immediately trying to start talking about Plexus. Number one, there's no relationship there, and they're not going to trust you. Number two, it may put up a wall of them ever ordering from you because you haven't gotten to know them first. And perfect example, I went diamond without anyone from my neighborhood or kids' school or area on my team. One person, I guess. But I knew her before Plexus, and I don't really count her because I moved here, and I'm talking about new people. And so my second leg has mainly been me tapping into my neighborhood, the moms at the school. I was never able to connect with the moms at school other than, hey, how are you? Whatever. So we had a library across the street from our school, and it shut down for a year. They renovated it anyway, grand opening. And so a couple of days after school, I take the kids over there, and there is moms galore over there with their kids. And I saw a mom, and I had a mutual friend with her, and just started chatting with her, and never mentioned Plexus. I mean, for, I don't know, several times I went over to the library and I didn't say anything, but I had my Plexus shirt on. Like, I wear a different one every day. And, people are like, oh, I'm not asking about that. And I did not talk Plexus. We talked about the kids. We talked about what's going on. We talked about school. And she has a best friend that came in. Y'all, it sounds crazy, but the library seems to be the hot place to be these days. But so came in, and then her friend, I met her best friend the other day at the library. And then today, it was kind of like, man, I need to figure out a way to ease it into Plexus, but I don't want to just immediately start talking because they're going to go, oh, here's that girl coming again. All she wants to do is talk about Plexus. So we got to talking, and my friend was talking about Hashimoto's, losing her hair, being exhausted, and needing to lose 10 more pounds. And y'all, it was like the door swung wide open. I'm like, girl, all I said was, girl, you need you some Plexus. Her best friend, we're sitting at the table together. I have heard about that. I want to try it. I've never tried it. What is it? And I was like, oh my gosh. And she goes, do you have samples? I want samples. So best friend is like on it, wants samples. And then my friend that I've been trying to find a conversation starter with it was like, do you have samples with you? Can I have some? So right there, I talked to 2 potentials, but I made sure I built a little bit of relationship with them first. And I don't want to come at them, start talking about it. I want it to be a natural part of the conversation. A lot of people will say, well, I want to get out and, when I go to the grocery store, how do I talk to strangers about Plexus? I'm like, you don't. This is a relationship business, and people join your team and order products from you because they trust you and they want you to help them. If a perfect stranger gave me a sample of anything, it's going in the trash, because I'm like, I don't know what they did to it. So that's why you have to build the relationship a little bit first. And wearing Plexus swag is a super easy way to put it in their mind without talking to them about it, because they're going to see your shirt and they may not ask you about it because they're like, oh no, it's one of those crazy Plexus people. I know people do that to me all the time, and I don't talk about it because they assume I'm going to talk about it, and I don't. And then in conversation, if it's kind of like, well, what do you do? Well, I work here. Da, da, da. Well, what about you? Well, I do Plexus. I'm like, oh, well, what's that? Door open, you can start talking about it. So I think that, the easiest thing to do is just build a relationship there before you start talking about it.
Okay. We hear now a lot of people, they say just take samples, attach them to your business card, and just walk up to someone and just engage. And that's so not my personality. But I thought, well, if that's how you have to do it, I guess I'll learn, how to do that. But I kind of like your idea better.
Well, and I think, you can do that, but it's going to be short-lived in my opinion. And then that may work for some people. I just think if you really want someone, you want to find out about what that person wants to do health-wise. Do they have a need for additional income in their family? I don't know anybody who doesn't need extra money in their family. But you can't do that with a stranger, because they're not going to open up and share stuff with you if you don't know them. So I think it's real important to know them a little bit first.
Right. And I'm kind of like you. That would go in the trash too. Just because,
weirdo. Yeah.
what they put in this. But, I think you've answered all of my questions that we have here. Did anyone else have a question?
Nobody?
You got her.
I know. Ask now while I'm here.
Do you think, this is Crystal, do you think that, you said that you kind of fit your business into the nooks and crannies when you were getting it built up and whatnot. Do you think that there is, benefit from segmenting time, like maybe a power hour every day, or doing a nooks and crannies style now that you've been able to do both?
Mm-hmm. Great question. I don't know if I've ever been asked that, but that's an excellent question. I guess when I was working, all my choices were only nooks and crannies. So I had nothing else. I knew nothing else, and I wanted it. And I'm like one of those people that, I've had people go, well, I'm a great starter out of the blocks, but then I fall off. That's not my personality. It's like, if I want something, you need to move out of the way, because I'm coming through like a freight train, and I will go through you, whatever I need to do. And that's what I was. So it really didn't matter how much little time I had, I was doing it.
Craig.
If, I was in a meeting all day long and I knew, I would look and see like, okay, I'm not going to be able to look at my phone until like noon or 3:00. I'm setting up buffer posts, hitting all those high points. So to me, those automatic posting tools are fabulous, because that kind of, I do that now too, because if I have to get a lot of stuff done, or I'm doing team calls or something, I don't have to worry about it. I've got my posting done. And guys, the only reason why we need to be scrolling Facebook, we don't need to be scrolling Facebook. We use Facebook to post and kind of see what's going on. But if you get on there, you waste time. And I do it all. I still do it. I have to time myself, and especially when I was working, I every single minute that I had to dedicate to Plexus in between like breaks and lunch, and if my boss was gone one day, you better believe I was doing Plexus all day long. But I just made it work. But I also have the personality that I have to have a shut off valve, because I'll keep going, and I get so focused in on it that I see the importance of business hours. And the power hours are awesome. I think whatever time you do have, you need to do income producing stuff. And that is, if you're going to take an hour, you don't need to, no part of that hour needs to be spent on Facebook other than be in Messenger messaging people. There's no need, you should not scroll Facebook during your power hour. You should reach out to as many new people and ask them to join your team, ask them to try the products, as many people as you can, follow up with as many people as you can, and last 10 minutes, watch a video or listen to a call or something like that. But that's what I would spend my power hour on, especially if you have a crazy schedule during the day. Like sometimes teachers, they can't be like on their phone until like, I don't know, 4 o'clock or lunch or whatever. And so whatever time you do have, you have to use it to do income producing. And that's what I did when I was working full time. I knew I could not waste time. I had to get like, what is going to build my team the fastest? Because my timeline, it was shortened. It was, I want out of here as soon as possible. So I worked Plexus like I want out of this job as soon as possible. Not everybody's willing to do that. And that's totally fine. It's really up to what you and your business looks like in your timeline. Because some people are okay with working a little tiny bit every day, and but they have to be okay with, all right, my timeline is going to be a lot longer. Mine was so shortened because I'm like, man, I'm done with this place. I'm doing this full time. So I don't know. Hopefully that answered your question.
Absolutely.
And I have business hours now that it's hard to stick to them because, I try.
You have a similar personality that I do, where you just seem to say it like it is. When you have someone challenge you and say, well, how is Plexus different than these other supplement companies? Do you have a response that is at least somewhat politically correct?
Well, I think number one, we have to look at that as, that's just the question, like, well, how's this different from everything else out there? And I was like, well, I don't personally know what the other companies do, but I've never done network marketing, and I'm at the top of the company. You can't really say that right now, but you're like, I don't know what other companies do, but I'm getting paid, okay? Our products are natural. Doctors and nurses are endorsing them. Y'all, I had a call from my dad's doctor today. He's been his doctor for years, saying, I've been reading the ingredients on this stuff and I have to have some. And I'm like, what an endorsement. This other stuff out there, it may be great. A lot of it's packed with artificial stuff. And I don't know anybody from any other health and wellness company that is rocking it. They might be like, oh, I do whatever it is, starts with an A and has a big care in it. I know a ton of people like that. Not one of them, it makes anything. They spend all their extra money that they do get because they have to go up there and buy like $3,000 worth of stuff. So I just tell, like, here's what I've seen from our company. I don't really know what's going on with those other ones. So I just kind of make it personal.
So instead of dealing with all the defenses, just like you said, when you're working with a new team member, you're meeting them where they are. You're kind of staying right where you are. I know what I do. I know my results. And I know this is really impacting my life in X, Y, or Z reason.
Absolutely. And skeptical people, we're normally skeptical. I'm not just because you said it, just believe everything you say. But also, I don't care if you share Jane's story or Tim's story or Bob's story. I want to know Crystal's story. So why did you join? What products did you take, and why should I do that? They want to know, like, okay, what have you seen? Why are you trying to sell this to me? And you can take that personal, and it's just like with being a believer, you can argue all day long about the Bible. You can argue somebody's story or some historical point in, when Jesus was here, you cannot argue my story. You can't argue what God's done in my life. And it's the same thing with Plexus. Like, you can argue back and forth, like, this company's better than this one, or I heard their supplements are better than yours, or that's all fine and good. You can't argue with what it's done for me.
I have one last question, I think. How do you continue to add people to your friends list? If you have over 150 level ones, how do you continue to add new people to prospect? To
my team, you mean? Or
yeah.
It's daily activity. I don't know if y'all were on some of those Road to Rank Up pages where they put the daily activity sheets. I printed those sheets out and I work them every day. And people go, well, I've already tapped into everybody I already know. I'm like, that is not true. One being, I went diamond without any of the people in my neighborhood on my team because I had never talked to them. A part of me was just being honest. Like, they live in Coppell. They already are driving the Lexus. They don't need money. You know, I'm like, and they don't know me. We haven't been here that long. So it's like, okay, new chick driving a Lexus, whatever, don't care. You know, there's a lot of pride in this community. But if you get to know people and they know you're real, they're going to listen. And today I saw the two chicks in the library, and then another girl that her son plays football with my son and her daughter cheers with my daughter. I'm like, I need to get this girl some samples. But again, I know her personality, and I'm like, that's just not somebody you approach without really having that open door. So we went to a cheer dinner tonight. She sat right across from me, and I'm like, okay, how are we going to work this? And all the other moms are friends with me on Facebook. She is too. They know what I do. And one random mom was like, girl, how long have you been doing Plexus? And I was like, girl, I want to chest bump you right now because I'm trying to get this girl. She goes, yeah. What? She goes, I don't mean to be rude, but what is Plexus? The girl that I was trying to, and I was like, oh my gosh, let me tell you. So I told her, and then by the end of the night, I had a sample in her hands. And it's like I've tapped into a whole new group of people. And some people, I've had a lot of people join, but I have a lot of people that are still like, okay. But they're watching me on Facebook, and I friend them. If I meet a new person, anywhere I go, if I meet anybody, I'm like, are you on Facebook? That's my first question after I chat with them. And I friend them for none other than if they don't want to talk to me or whatever, so they can watch me. Like I went to Dry Bar to get my hair done during Leaders Retreat. Talked with this girl, and she was a single mom, struggling financially, exhausted all the time. She was working another job. I'm like, are you on Facebook? I want to be your friend because I got to give you a sample of Plexus. And I've been following up with her she really liked the sample, and she's like trying to figure out, when payday's coming and all that stuff. But I didn't know her from Adam. But go on and ask them to be your friend. And that's what I do. And we've got to step outside our comfort zone because I'm not adding anybody if I'm not out there talking to people or, tapping into because I think a lot of times we'll rely heavily on our Facebook friends because that's easy. You can message someone and you're behind a computer and you don't have to really talk to somebody. But, when you talk to people in public, you don't have to let me tell you about my home-based business. You just have a real conversation with them. And it may not be that conversation that you talk about Plexus. It may not be 10 conversations from now that you talk about it. But keep building that relationship. Ask them to be friends on Facebook, and they can kind of just see what you do. And then it'll eventually lead there. But that's kind of what I've done to continue to add. Is I put myself in that position to be able to add, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We got another kid coming in.
Great answers. We've kept you almost an hour now, so I think we got to get off. And unless anyone has one last question, anyone?
I have another question. Are there specific characteristics in a person that catch your attention more than others when you're targeting someone to approach?
Oh, absolutely. I think, that person that is tech girl. Kids are so curious about these calls. They are on social media. If someone's on Facebook, amazing. If they're on Instagram, definitely one of my top checks, because that means they're savvy. If they're on Instagram, because that's kind of like a younger generation, and I'm already like, okay, they know what they're doing on social media. If they are outgoing, if they have influence, and you can pick out people who have influence. And I just go and I look at what they're posting, and are they bubbly? Are they funny? Do people engage on their post quite a bit? And number 2 or 3, do I want them on my team? Would that be somebody? And recruit up. If I use an example a lot of times of, if you take a person like a 1 through 4, I can close a deal on a 1 through 4 any day. I can get somebody to join my team just because of what I say, because they're like, oh, okay, girl, okay, I'll do it. Now, a 5 through 7, a 5, 6, or 7, they're going to be a little bit more skeptical. They're going to need a bit. That might be like your girl who's like, what's the difference in this and something else? That might be a 5, 6, or 7. They need a little bit more proof. They need a little bit more massaging. They need a little bit more information. So it may take a little bit of time to get them to join. An 8, 9, or 10, that is your rock star people. That is the people on Facebook and social media. They know that. They are highly successful personally. Maybe they're like a professional and they already have it together. They are someone that's very driven already. They are motivated. It's like one of my dream teamers is the cheer coach. And she is like an 8, 9, or 10. She works in a corporation. She's over a ton of stuff. She has kids. She's busy. She's always talking about how tired she is. She chats it up. She's the center of attention when we go anywhere. And I'm like, this girl could take it to the top. And she's willing, like, she's the type of person that you can think, if she likes these products, she will blow up because she will share it with everybody, because that's the type of person she is. So that's kind of like my criteria that I look for. And sometimes I may have a 1 through 4 that's a close friend of mine that's like, I've been wanting to know about this stuff, but they don't really need a whole lot. It doesn't mean I don't want them on my team. I'm not going to have to, they're not going to need a lot of attention as far as the business goes if they do join my team.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think we need to let you go. Thanks so much for doing this and offering it to us.
Sure.
It's awesome.
Anytime, y'all.
All right. Okay, well, have a great night.
You too. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.